Hello, my name is Christine and I run a vintage shop called Prima Treasures on Etsy. Today I wanted to talk about decanter pumps. You have one right here in front of you on the table, and these pumps were generally made in the 50s, 60s, and 70s as kind of a novelty bar item. And this is one example, but they come in different forms, and sometimes you would get them in a portable caddy with locks across it. It's called a tantalus. You'd have 3 bottles, each of which would have a pump at the top. But the reason I want to talk about it is because they can be problematic. And the reason they can be problematic is because the pump function had rubber in it to create a seal for the pumping action. And since most of these items range from, let's say, 50 to 70 years old, rubber does not hold up real well under those conditions. It just ages, and there's not a whole lot you can do to prevent that process. So when people purchase them at this stage where they've been around for 50 years, whether they were used or they weren't used, a lot of times that rubber has really deteriorated. And so the vast majority of the time when we have gotten them, the pumps have been non-functional. So, we were looking for ways to rehabilitate the pumps, to replace the part, looking for gaskets that we might put in to, sort of take out the old rubber, put in something new. We never had much luck in that department. I even had my dad kind of get in on our troubleshooting sessions. Since he's a car guy, I thought he might have some helpful insight into what we could do, and we were never able to figure out a way to save a pump, an existing pump. And I searched extensively online to see if anyone else had had any luck in this department, and for the most part I found other people saying that they were having the same issue. So in terms of trying to, bring these items back onto the market but make them usable again, we kind of went outside the box and we came up with a different solution. So I wanted to show that here. What you have here is a replacement pump. So I went online and I looked at soap dispensers, but they were all too small for this size of a neck. And the next thing I looked at was, and this is what we ended up doing, this is a condiment dispenser, like a commercial restaurant grade condiment dispenser for sauce, ketchup, that kind of thing. And so we did that, but of course with the threaded area here on the glass bottle, our modern parts just really don't fit. So my husband came up with this 3D printed, I guess you would call it a conversion neck, that fits the threads of the bottle on the bottom, and then it's threaded on the top to fit the brand new pump. And so that was how we rehabilitated the decanter pumps to have something, functional at the top, but still allow you to have the, mid-century old school pump apparatus on the bottom. The only downside to this pump is that, as you can see, the nozzle is over the shot glass, but it doesn't quite aim exactly the same. So in order to use it, you'd have to do this, and I did want to demo it. There we go. So you can see it does a good job of filling up the shot, but it doesn't necessarily hit the inside of the shot glass when you just pump it directly. So, there's a little bit of oh dear, we're getting drippage. A little bit of a compromise there, but for the sake of getting an old item that would have gotten thrown out, now we have a functional item that we can use to have fun and, entertain our guests when they come over to our house and want some shots. But I wanted to also caution buyers who are looking at decanter pumps that, as I said earlier, the vast majority of these pumps don't work. So if you're shopping and you're looking at vintage decanter pump bar sets online, I would be very careful when purchasing to confirm with the seller that the pump is functional. And if they don't know and they're not willing to test it, in other words, you message them and they say, "Oh, I don't know," then you should treat that as a broken pump, because you don't want to pay a premium for something that when you get it is not going to pump at all. And then if they do verify that it's working, that's a scenario where, yeah, you might want to go ahead and pay, you know, full retail top dollar for something that still works. But I would verify with the seller that the pump action actually does work before you pay anything that you might consider a high price. So I would say for non-functional, you probably should be paying $50 or less for a pump like this. For anything I can even think of, actually, I would not pay more than $50 for a set that has essentially broken pumps. So if somebody's asking more than that, I would just ask questions. I would ask that, did they test it? Not, do you think it worked? But you want to know that they actually checked it. Not that they just, you know, got it from a relative who said, oh yeah, it used to work just fine. You want confirmation that it has been tested recently and still does work. So anyway, I hope this is helpful information for you, and also to put out there the idea that it is possible to rehab these pumps and do what we did with the 3D printer and the commercial condiment dispenser. So, you know, it's kind of nice when you can take an old item and bring it back to life. And in this case, my video is also showing that the tray itself has quite a bit of leakage, but that's fine. I mean, it's got, oop, now I'm making more mess, but it's got holes here. So you can see that any liquid that ends up on the tray is just going to go right down that hole. There's no lip of any kind. Anyway, I hope you learned something, and I thank you for watching.